Hello friends, welcome to the platform of IQCIVILS IAS Academy. This is Narendra Sharma. I am going to explain the topic heat wave part 2. Heat wave, we have discussed about the heat wave. Today we are going to discuss about the Indian context of heat wave. These are the panelists, these are the eminent panelists of IQCIVILS IAS Academy, and these are the projects which you can see on your screen. These are the projects of government, and it is now conducted by IQCIVILS IAS Academy. These are the Google reviews through which you can consider that yes, you are going through the best civil services academy. And today's topic is heat wave part 2. We have discussed about the heat wave in the previous session, isn't it? We have discussed about the entire fundamentals and concepts of heat wave in the previous video. So you can refer the previous videos of IQ Civil Science Academy from the list, and you can see the foundations and the concepts which are related with the heat wave. Now today we are going to discuss heat wave part 2, that is related with India. Article was published in Hindustan Times, isn't it? And it was around uh, 20th of this month, 20th of July. And according to that article, or on the basis of that article also, we have, um, I mean, created this video. So that article was basically focusing on heat wave in India. According to report by Lancet, India's according to report by Lancet, it is an organization. India's vulnerability to extreme heat increased by 15% from 1990 to 2019, isn't it? So from 1990 to 2019, the vulnerability to extreme heat increased by 15% in India. It was the first warmest year ever recorded in the last decade. Mind it, this was the first warmest year ever recorded in the last decade. And in May 2022, ESA, European Space Agency, just like we have NASA in USA, ISRO in India, European Space Agency in Europe, has recorded 55 degrees centigrade land surface temperature over many parts of northwest India, isn't it? Obviously, and in some of the pockets, it has crossed 60 degrees centigrade. So, obviously, if you see the map of India, according to these reports, isn't it? Some parts of India has crossed 60 degree, more than 60 degree of temperature, isn't it? Especially in the northwest part of India. So, northwest part of India is recording more than 55 degrees centigrade of temperature, and in some pocket it is recorded by 60 degrees centigrade. Obviously it is horrible picture of temperature, isn't it? And in near future we cannot deny that this temperature can go beyond 70 degrees centigrade. So my dear students, please focus on this point, because the topic which we are going to discuss, or the topic which we are discussing, that is the second most lethal danger after flood, isn't it? Second most lethal danger we are having in the form of heat wave after flood, isn't it? And in northwest part of India, if temperature is reaching by 60 degree, in future it can reach by 70 degrees centigrade. Now you can imagine how the people will survive, isn't it? So it is a matter of prime concern. It should be a matter of prime concern for the entire world. Heat wave has not only affected India, it has affected the various other parts of the world, like Britain, as you have heard about the forest fires in Britain, then Australian forest fire, American forest fire, Canadian forest fire, isn't it? USA. So, China, Middle East, all these regions are facing severe heat waves. Severe. I'm talking about severe heat wave where the temperature is more than 7 degrees centigrade than the normal temperature. It is considered a severe heat wave, isn't it? So why such a high temperature is recording in India? First, let me tell you, because northwest part of India receives receives uh, less rainfall, isn't it? Less rainfall. Nowadays, the pattern of rainfall has been changed, and that's why this area is also receiving high rainfall. But normally or traditionally, this area receives less rainfall as the monsoonal winds are going to enter into northwest part of India by crossing through all the regions of the India. So when the monsoonal winds are reaching to northwest part of India, obviously all the moisture has been dried. Dried up when they reach to the northwestern part of India. All the moisture has been poured in the rest of the part of India, but that's why northwest part of India receives less rainfall, isn't it? Well, uh, I was talking about the why the northwest part of India receives high heat wave situation. Less rainfall means less vegetation. So scanty vegetation is also responsible for extreme temperature or heat wave in such regions, isn't it? Then we are having uh, less vegetation and infrastructure building. Infrastructure building is also responsible for dryness and increase in temperature in northwestern part of India. Northwestern part of India comes under semi-arid and arid climatic condition. That's why also this area receives high temperature, isn't it? Very advanced and mechanized form of agriculture is practicing by the people of northeast India, which also lead to pollution or warming of the atmosphere, isn't it? So these are the few reasons why this region, why the northwest part of India receives such a high temperature right now. In this year, that is 2022. In 2022, it has recorded. This part has been known by. This part has recorded 55 degrees centigrade of temperature. In few pockets, it is 60 degree, and we are predicting that in future, in near future, it can be 70 degrees centigrade also. Okay, so heat wave. What is heat wave? Basically, it is a blow of hot air. Blow of hot air, isn't it? With high intensity, very less moisture, high temperature, isn't it? And for the longer duration, if such blow of air is blowing from high pressure region to low pressure region, and if you are stucking yourself in between these winds or blow of air, you will also be affected by such heat waves. That is the result of basically difference or the contrast of temperature between these two places. As you know, higher the contrast, higher the velocity of wind will be there, isn't it? And low pressure means very high temperature area. This low pressure area or high temperature area, because temperature is inversely proportional to pressure, this low pressure area or high temperature area receives or it attracts wind from all sides, isn't it? All side means the surrounding high pressure side. Winds will come to the low pressure area with high velocity from all over surrounding regions, that is high pressure region. In this way, the hot blow of air is blowing and the entire region is affecting by such heat waves. Well, In May 2022, this year, European Space Agency recorded such temperatures as we have discussed. And as far as heat wave is concerned, it is the second most lethal disaster I have told you after flood, because it has crossed the fact of death. It has crossed the death number by 39,000 since 1967. And as far as flood is concerned, flood has killed more than 40,000 people in India since 1967, while heat wave has killed more than 39,000. That's why it is considered as second most lethal disaster after flood. So it should be a concern, I mean prime concern for the Indians and the Indian meteorological department as well as the government, which must focus. The government must focus on this concern because in near future it is going to be uh, ultimately it is going to be a deadly phenomena where we can lose more than 50,000 people since 1967 in coming years. According to IMD, it is not IND, it is IMD, Indian Met Department, 413 heat waves till 19 to 81 to 90. Till 1981 to till 1990, there were 413 heat waves in India. Now it has increased by 600 between 2011 to 2020. And this sharp increase in temperature is, of course, due to climate change. Nobody can stop climate change, but we can reduce the impact, we can mitigate the effect, and such kind of questions can be asked in your UPSC exam. Mind it. Well, if normal temperature is if normal temperature is 40 degree or less than 40 degree, and if this normal temperature is for plane, and in this normal maximum temperature, if there is increase in temperature by 5 to 6 degrees centigrade, then it is considered as heat wave. Okay, this is the definition given by IMD, Indian Met Department, for India, and in India for plain area, isn't it? And it is considering normal maximum temperature, that is 40 degree for plain, and it is 30 degree for hills. So if the temperature is increases by 5 to 6 degree even in the hills, like 5 to 60 degree more than this 30 degree, then it will be considered as heat wave in the hills. Okay, getting a point? Now mind it. And if temperature is increasing by 6 to 7 degree, mind it. Here we are talking about 5 to 6 degree, and here we are talking about 6 to 7 degree increase in normal maximum, that is 40 or 30, then it is considered as severe heat wave. Mind it, it is considered as not normal wave. It is severe heat wave. Okay. So next, these are the some of the aspects of heat wave which are related with India, isn't it? Now let's discuss about the impact of heat wave. See, as far as impacts are concerned, there will be loss of working days for the poor and marginal farmer, isn't it? There will be loss of working days. I mean, the poor and marginal farmer, if they won't go to their fields, isn't it? For the scheduled working days, then obviously they are not going to grow the crops in a healthy manner. And if daily wages workers are also not visiting their site for the construction, obviously their remuneration will be lower down, and the farmers can lose their crops. So ultimately it will affect the economy of the poor people who are marginal farmers, poor farmers. daily wages workers, isn't it? So in this way, you need to understand how the impact of heat wave will be dangerous for India. Crop yield suffers. Crop yield means whatever the productivity, it will be reduced, and it has been reduced by 6 to 7% in India in terms of wheat. If we consider some of the areas which are related with the northwest, that is Punjab, Haryana, isn't it? So wheat productivity will be reduced. It has been reduced. Livestock population is also vulnerable, isn't it? Livestock population is also vulnerable. This word does not have any meaning here. It has been wrongly typed by the PPT creators, isn't it? Livestock population is also vulnerable. Means the population, livestock, the buffaloes, cows, and other animals which are helping in agriculture, they will be affected by, obviously, surely affected by heat wave, and we can reduce the production in terms of dairy products, isn't it? So dairy products will also suffer if heat wave will affect the livestock population. That's why it has been written here. Milk production in India, milk production in India could drop by 25% against 2005, isn't it? Could drop by 25% against 2005, isn't it? So in arid plus semi-arid regions, in arid and semi-arid regions. So in such regions, milk production will drop by 25%. I have told you that the regions which are known as northwest and northern part of India, this is arid and semi-arid climate. So this region will receive record, what can we say, record decrease in production of milk, isn't it? According to the report by the University of Chicago, what is the report? By 2100, I mean, by this time, annually more than 1.5 million people will be likely to die due to extreme heat. Mind it, 1.5 million people will be likely to die due to extreme heat. 1.5 million. Obviously, the facts are highly dangerous, isn't it? So we must keep a keen eye on the development of such hazardous events, isn't it? North India receives 13% higher than 2021, isn't it? North India receives 13% higher. What? This is the average daily demand. I mean, it is average daily peak demand of electricity, not people demand. It should be peak demand of electricity, isn't it? Because if heat wave increases, intensifies, and remains for the longer duration, then we have to depend on the ACs, coolers, and other equipment who are decreasing the temperature, isn't it? So, in order to implement such kind of programs which are related to cooling effect, we need investment not only in the equipments but also the demand of electricity will rise, isn't it? And according to this report, you can see the demand of electricity, average daily peak demand, has been increased by 13% higher than 2021. I mean, in 2022, there is a 13% higher average daily peak demand of electricity, and 30% higher in May 2022. Okay, now till May, the average daily peak demand of electricity has been increased by 30%, isn't it? Obviously, this is also a matter of consideration for the governments, isn't it? Increased heat, increased heat will lead to an increased disease like diabetes, circulatory and respiratory condition. as well as mental health challenges. Obviously, if the heat has been increased or if the heat is increasing continuously, it will also going to increase the rate of disease like diabetes, circulatory disease, disease with respiratory condition, as well as mental health challenges. Okay, need to keep these things in your mind because people are also going to remain unhealthy, isn't it? Well, now see, few more uh, impact we can discuss in terms of heat wave. Like in India, heat wave results into high precipitation because when the heat is flowing from one area to another area, this heat also transfers moisture with them, and this moisture is forming clouds, and so high rainfall or high precipitation has been also recorded in India. And you have seen the news right now that more than half of the India is facing flood-like situation, isn't it? Flood-like situation is because of high temperature, that is high heat wave, high rate of high heat wave which is blowing in the atmosphere, isn't it? So flood is a kind of another kind of disaster which is also very dangerous. And I have told you this is the first lethal disaster, and heat wave is the second most lethal disaster, isn't it? So as far as uh, this issue is concerned, I mean India, we are also facing flood due to heat waves. Forest fire. Forest fire has been seen in the forest of Uttarakhand, Himalaya, and Western Ghats also. Such forest fire is because of heat waves. Heat waves are basically uh, going through, crossing through the trees and their leaves. And these leaves, when they comes in contact, friction occurs because of the heat waves which is blowing here. And because of this friction, fire generates in the leaves and ultimately it engulfs the entire tree, isn't it? And then entire forest. So forest fire is also one of the very important impact which is related with heat wave after flood in India, isn't it? Forest fire, flood, heat waves also results into increase in the intensity of cyclones in the Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea. Okay, so cyclone intensity will increases, the intensity of cyclone will increases, flood, forest fire, isn't it? And other effects which we have discussed in the form of uh, loss of working days and crop yield suffer, livestock population, milk production could drop by 25%, isn't it? People will be affected by diabetes, circulatory and respiratory condition as well as mental health challenges. So obviously, we can see that there are a lot of effects or impacts of heat waves, isn't it? And yes, one more problem which is associated with this, uh, what we can see the flooded situation and forest fire or failure of crops. All this will add to food insecurity. All these are going to enhance what? Food insecurity. So heat wave has potential to influence food insecurity, and food insecurity will lead to poverty, and ultimately people will die. Ultimately people are going to die. So mind it. When you are talking about heat wave, you should also think about the food insecurity, poverty, and all, isn't it? So, yes, emission of greenhouse gases. Emission of greenhouse gases, and deforestation has increased the warming in the atmosphere. That warming leads to heat waves. Obviously, one should not come out from their house during this phenomena or during the heat wave, during the blow of the heat wave. You should not come out from their houses. Well, these were the few impacts which we can see over India. Mainly the crop failure, isn't it? Flood, drought, isn't it? Health condition is going to deteriorate. Livestock population will be affected, and milk supply will be affected, isn't it? All these things are conclusively saying that we must avoid such kind of phenomena in near future. Okay, now come to the long-term strategies. Long-term strategies in order to uh, avoid such situation in India: public awareness and early warning system, not four, and early warning system. Public awareness, I mean, we should make a public aware, because many of the parts of India, mainly in rural areas and also in urban areas, because people don't have time to listen the news and listen such type of videos which we are publishing, and that's why they are not awareing themselves. So in order to make them aware, we are also making such kind of videos where public awareness is highly necessary, and early warning system is also necessary in order to reduce the number of killings by heat waves. Okay, so public awareness and early warning system is highly required, isn't it? Social media can be a prime contributor in order to spread the message of heat wave. Social media, isn't it? Electronic media, what we can see. Social media, electronic media of TV, isn't it? They will surely, and print media even, they will make the people aware about all such kind of phenomena which are related with the killing of the people in, what we can say, in large number. Next long-term strategy is heat-proof shelter facilities in heat wave prone areas. We should provide heat-proof shelter facility. Heat-proof means the shelter should not shelter is free from the heat, or the heat should not penetrate the shelter, isn't it? In heat-prone areas, heat wave prone areas, so that the people who are hiding themselves in shelter can also save themselves from the dangerous effect of heat wave, isn't it? Next is afforestation programs in urban and rural areas. Obviously, a few days back, we have discussed about the RA forest controversy, isn't it? RA forest controversy, and this controversy is related with the deforestation of RA forest in order to make metro line over there. Isn't it? Obviously, the world is going through enormous need of infrastructure building, isn't it? And in order to building infrastructure, we need to cut a lot of trees. And after cutting such trees, obviously nobody is going to save you. Even God is not going to save you by the scorching heat of the sun and the heat waves which you are facing right now and you will face in near future, because we are not going to stop the infrastructural activities which are putting or adding some more temperature, isn't it, some more degree, few more degree in the existing temperature of atmosphere. Is it clear? Afforestation program is highly necessary. Recognition of heat wave as a natural disaster. Mind it. The government must recognize heat wave as a natural disaster. If government recognize heat wave as a natural disaster, then government will follow few more steps in order to avoid such disaster. It means government will be very serious, isn't it? For heat waves, if it is recognized as a natural disaster in India. Obviously, it should be, so that we can follow a systematic guidelines of National Disaster Management Authority. Okay, there must be guidelines for schools and colleges that the children should not go to the school, isn't it? And newcomer students or college going students should also avoid their classes during the heat wave. So government must provide guidelines, issues guidelines for school and college goers, isn't it? Now, so that we can save the life of children even. Growing of climate resilient crops, isn't it? If we are growing climate resilient crops, obviously we are not going to face major problems in terms of productivity, food insecurity, etc. Isn't it? So we must go through such kind of crops which are the need of an hour, because heat waves are consistently growing with in terms of intensity, in terms of frequency, in terms of the duration of their existence. Getting a point? Okay. Next is implementation of implementation, not implementary, implementation of National Action Plan for Climate Change. Isn't it? In order to make inclusive growth in economy and ecological sustainability, ecological sustainability. Okay, in order to make ecological sustainability and inclusive growth in our economy, the government must implement National Action Plan for Climate Change. Okay, so if we are going through such kind of steps, obviously we are going to save much of the lives, isn't it? In India, not only in India, but also in the several parts of the world. We have to replace, it is another effort in which we can replace the dark roofs by light roofs, isn't it? The heat won't penetrate in the houses or in the markets, isn't it, area? Or in the bigger halls where there is a possibility of gathering of large number of people. Okay, so my dear friends, this is all about uh, heat wave part 2, isn't it? The questions can be asked, the questions can be asked in UPSC mains exam, like what are the mitigating, I mean, uh, draw the highlights or draw the points which are known by mitigating efforts, or which are mitigating the effect of steps which are mitigating the effect of heat waves in India. Isn't it? What should be the government actions, steps plans, proposals, guidelines. Okay, so how government will try to mitigate the effect of heat waves by such action steps, plans, proposals, guidelines, etc. Isn't it? So obviously, you should have a general as well as specific about the idea about the heat waves, isn't it? In terms of concept, in terms of what we can say, uh, definition by IMD, classification of heat waves by IMD, impacts of IMD, sorry, impacts of heat waves, and the long-term strategy which we have discussed. What could be the long-term strategy in order to reduce the effect of heat wave in India? That question can also be asked in your mains exam. And obviously, you should give the, for such kind of question, you should give the introduction. In introduction, you can give the definition and the concepts of heat waves. And then you can continue with the long-term strategy which are in the news. Suppose if you are going to give your exam in 2023, then obviously till 23 there can be new types of long term, new types of strategies a government can evolve at that till that time, and you have to write those strategies also which has been evolved by government in long run. Okay, so my dear friends, this is all about heat wave part 2. Focus on the topic, focus on the impacts, focus on the long term strategy, and then obviously you will prepare a good article for any kind of questions which can be asked by UPSC in context of heat wave. Okay, so all the best and have a good day. These are the elite panel of faculties from Delhi. You can see the names, you can see the photos, you can have inquiries for admissions. You can have inquiries on these numbers for admissions because the new batches are going on. As you can see on what I can remember, the new batches are on 1st of August also and 10th of August, isn't it? So be in touch with IQCIVILS IAS Academy.com. Thank you and all the best.